What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Creative Exchange. This one is a little bit different. It's dark. It's moody. It is the end of a long work day, but I have a very special guest, someone who I know dearly. He is a pro skater. He is a YouTuber. His name is John Hill, and he just so happens to be my boyfriend as well. He's a very talented person in the video space. As a business person, he has his own clothes. So John, welcome!
What's up? It's lovely to be here. Out of all those achievements, the greatest one so far is being the boyfriend of Sara Dietschy.
John, get out of here. Okay, the podcast is over.
Okay,
that's
great.
All.
Good.
Tell he's smelling his shirt right now. He just put on a Progress Daily shirt so he could make sure to plug that merch.
Boom, baby.
In the video version of this podcast.
It's a little wet, so I had to smell it to make sure it wasn't sweat. It's actually just left from the laundry because I didn't dry it all the way.
You are so irresponsible.
I am just
when
the
it
dumbest.
comes to laundry, but everything else, you're kind of killing it.
Appreciate
So, tell the people, for the few people who don't know what your thing is.
What I like to do is skateboard, which is this piece of wood with four wheels on the bottom. It's a toy, essentially, right? And I found this crazy, crazy love for it. It's just continued on throughout my life. So I've been skateboarding since I was just a young boy. And out of everything that I've gotten into, when it comes to entrepreneurship, business, life, meeting epic human beings, for some reason I just keep gravitating back towards riding my skateboard. It's the most fun thing ever. So I've tried to build my life around that, and it has worked out so far.
How long have you been on YouTube?
I've been on YouTube for 3 years. So not super long, but I've been uploading videos ever since I was about 16. We made YouTube videos. We were just skateboarding, and I was filming little videos with my homies, and it was really fun. But then one day I realized that you could sort of make a living doing it if you approached it the correct way. So I approached it just more strategically to actually make it sort of a living.
Before I met you, I had no idea of the skater world. It was basically Tony Hawk, and that was it.
Tony Hank.
I played Tony Hank. Everyone gotta love the Tony Hank.
You know you love it. Yeah.
So I didn't understand the world. I didn't understand what it means to be like amateur pro. I didn't understand there are multiple different companies out there doing decks, doing wheels, shoes. Give me a quick little just summary of the skate world for the people who aren't aware, so they have context.
Gotcha. It's essentially like any other business, really. When it comes to being a professional skateboarder, you do have to go through levels. And with brands in skateboarding, you want to think that it's about how good you are. And for the most part, it is. But it works like any other business to where if you're selling more stuff, if you have more attention on you, you're more likely to become a professional skateboarder, etc. So for me, I was definitely approaching the skateboarding world in a more traditional sense, which is basically you get on a skate shop. And then from there, maybe the skate shop helps you out, pushes you out to people that they know. And it's all about working connections as well, like any other business. But you meet the guy behind a company. You meet the team manager. Maybe he likes you. And usually when someone likes you, it's a better chance of you getting on a team. I know a lot of people who aren't essentially the best skateboarders, but they're awesome people. You want to be around them. You want to take them on tour. You want to just constantly...
Maybe they have a good personality for their Instagram videos.
Exactly.
They have followers.
Right. They kind of offer like a different perspective on skating. They like wear a cool shirt that other people don't wear, and that helps. I mean, it really does. I mean, to sort of be a free thinker in skating does usually have a huge benefit. If it's something that other people think is cool. If not, then maybe they'll shun you. But you work through the system the same way, and you get sponsored. And, there's not a lot of money in skateboarding, but when you're a skateboarder, you just love the idea of being part of a bigger family. I think skateboarders typically, they come from weird places. So the idea of having a big family is like something that's super exciting to them. And they'll fight for that, even if it doesn't maybe make them the most money. It's just the feeling of being part of something bigger that you sort of idolize as a kid.
And so you skate for Revive.
I do.
Which is a skateboard company, a deck company, but they make clothes, and they have a lot of things underneath that. So when you go pro, that means you get your own deck.
Right. So you get your name on the bottom of a board.
This past year, you went pro. Congrats.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
That's insane. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you have now 3 decks with John Hill on the bottom.
I do, yeah, actually, which is crazy. Yeah, that's definitely the best It's weird. It's the best feeling ever. Like, no matter what I accomplish, that was what I wanted to accomplish since I was a little kid. And it will always be the thing that probably just gave me the most satisfaction when it happened. Just seeing my board and being like, you know, I mean, you were there when I turned pro, and you actually came to Cincinnati with me. And it's like, it definitely gets me like teary eyed, because it's one of those things where, especially coming from South Carolina, you're like, I want to be a pro skater. And people are like, LOL.
Yeah.
Look at you, boy.
Luck.
Look where you live, boy. Come on. Think so. Yeah, I don't know, just a lot of things added up, and I got to get the pro board, and it was a very exciting thing.
And so your entire journey, you grew up in South Carolina,
Done, dude.
Cincinnati, Los Angeles, some more Cincinnati, some more Los Angeles. Now you're living in New York City.
I do.
But all of this really YouTube stuff began, I watched your first video.
Nice.
It began May 2015.
Wow.
And were you in Cincinnati then?
No, when I first started, I was in Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Yeah.
And your first few videos are like only 2 to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Just like, skateboarding, right?
Yeah, just skateboarding.
Right.
And it's like montage-y stuff. I mean, what was your life 3 years ago, 3 years ago?
My life was actually fine. When I started YouTube, it was fine. It was like I basically just got done with a hectic life, and I started a business that was doing well. I started this baby clothing company. It's so weird to say.
I feel like people don't know that, though. I feel
It's
like
true,
the
right?
people who come and find your channel maybe in the past year, they probably don't know that.
Yeah.
That you still have a baby onesie clothing business.
I do, yeah. So that...
What is that? What does that mean, John?
It's actually, I mean, it's a very, very easy setup, and a lot of people do it, but I think I put a lot more effort into it because it was basically all or nothing. So for this business, it was my only job. So I worked my arse off to make it what I could. I got a heat press, and with the heat press, you can just press designs onto any white shirt. And I was like, oh, white onesies. And, you know, we looked up a little bit of marketing and business, and we realized that new moms was the biggest demographic to sell to, period. So what can you sell to new moms? Baby onesies. Right. And it just worked out so well to where, like, we just had to think of creative ideas. And this sounds maybe pretty bad, but it wasn't something I was super passionate about. So it's very easy for me to be cutthroat about it. So I just made designs based on designs that already sold well and put my own spin on it, because I knew I had like this silly creative approach, and that actually sold really well. And we just continued with that and grew it. We sold it through Etsy, eBay, Amazon, and it was just an e-commerce business that started to fund my life. And the more I worked on it, the more money I made. It was this awesome correlation.
And the more YouTube videos you could make. And so in the beginning, there wasn't that pressure of this needs to be my job.
Oh, not at all.
It was just skating.
Exactly. Because a lot of people now who start YouTube will go down the path thinking, yo, this is going to make me money. This is my new business. And that wasn't a mentality at all. For me, it was like, how cool would it be if I got subscribers randomly? Because I can skate. And I also at the time had a lot of really talented friends in skateboarding. So I was like, let me incorporate these guys into my vlogs or my videos. And right when I started, I met every skateboard YouTuber right off the bat. And they were all amazing human beings, and we vibed so well. And they made me a little less fearful of what was going to happen and what to put out there. So I started putting out like more self-centered content, I guess, where I would talk to the camera.
Because in the beginning, exactly, because that's how I started off behind the camera. Because I don't think it's a very natural thing to put the camera in front of your face. Hey guys, this is my life. Because it's kind of a like very self-centered thing to do with vlogging and stuff. But it's almost like you have to warm up to the fact, and once you realize, oh, I have a story to tell, or I have a unique perspective, that's kind of when it gets easier to turn the camera around. But with skating, you were filming yourself. Like, that's a normal thing. Though. Well, people film them skating because they want to show it off.
That's the thing. It's all in this gray area where people will be like, ooh, that's a little too much. Like, holding the camera and facing yourself, that's a little weird.
Like, you guys film videos of yourself skating all the time.
Exactly. And there's always that barrier. It's subjective. You basically choose what is too much for you. And any kid will post footage that maybe they filmed, right? They start off and be like, oh, I filmed this clip. I'm going to post it because I kind of like the way I filmed that. But it's not ego-centered because it's not me. And then eventually they get a chick that's really good on film, and they're like, I'll post my clip, but you know what? Like, I got a clip, whatever. And it keeps going down this thing where it's like, well, if you're going to, post yourself to get exposure, why not hold a camera to yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's like
there's no shame.
Yeah, there's no more shame in holding a camera to yourself realistically. I mean, it's all subjective, but holding a camera to yourself and filming yourself and posting that, as opposed to posting just a clip of you that somebody else filmed, it all lies in that gray area.
But in the skating realm, though, there is that cool guy mentality. So that makes it harder. Not only is walking outside filming yourself hard, but then you add the fact that you're in the skate group and you're in the skate community. And I feel like just that in general, there is like a cool guy aspect to it. Is there not?
There definitely is. Like beyond, I think skateboarding actually has a cooler guy mentality than almost any other thing, period. I can't think of it. Maybe art. When it comes to any other sport, if you see a guy talking to a camera and saying like, yo, we're going to a big game right now, I'm really excited, hope you guys enjoy what you're about to see. In any other sport, people would appreciate that. I can't imagine one that they wouldn't. Skateboarding, you will get made fun of 100%. And I think it comes down to how confident you are about your skateboarding. If you're a good skateboarder, then you're not going to care that much what people think, because you clearly have this like bigger passion for it because you do it more often. Maybe not clearly. You could be more talented, right? But I don't know. I think people who are really good at skateboarding don't care that much, and they're kind of past the whole cool guy mentality, because it's just like that's sort of that cool guy fight is left to sideline skaters, which is an expression that I use a lot. And it's usually people who sort of sit on the sideline and yell in, people who sit on the stands and yell at football players about doing better. It's like
you get out there on the field.
Yeah, it's like who really knows how to do this,
right.
So,
and then there's also the thing that I feel like you're constantly not in the middle of, but have a unique perspective of the traditional side of skating. You have the course skaters.
What's up?
And maybe the people that Thrasher will rep, but then they're the most mainstream company really in skating in reality, right?
Yeah, and they're kind of... It's silly.
So it's that versus this kind of YouTube skater culture. How long have skaters been on this YouTube grind, been in vlogging, like showing tricks? Was Andy really the first one to come on the scene and like do goofy stuff, but also he's a good skater? Andy
was the first person to explode without having anybody in the core skate world appreciate him. So everybody else, like Bam Margera, Rob Dyrdek, they did silly things, and of course they got hated on the same way, but there was still a majority
that was with MTV and all the mainstream.
Right.
And so the guy who we're talking about is Andy Schrock, who is the head of Revive, the company you skate for. And he has a YouTube channel over 1 million subscribers, and he's been doing goofy stuff, for like 10 years. Also skate stuff for 10 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And it's really heavy into skateboarding. I mean, he started off all skate videos. He just happens to be goofy in his skate videos. So he goes out with his friends, goes around his neighborhood, skates, that's it, and he jokes with his friends.
Right.
But he's so shameless about filming his friends' silly reactions and his reactions. And he's such a genuinely good dude. But yeah, he did that for 10 years. And only recently did people notice him coming through the back doors of skateboarding and doing well. So he's a successful skateboard brand owner, and nobody even knew about him in the skate industry until recently. But they didn't see, the 7 years of work he put in behind and the content he was just pputting out. And, with him, it was always just like, I'm a silly guy who likes skateboarding a lot, and I want to sponsor my friends in this small town that I live in. And whoops, now we're a huge brand that does, that's really successful.
It's cool that you get to be a part of that, because it's cool, not cool, but it's dorky, awesome people who are part of that, who just love skating, and you get to be a part of the fam.
It's
it
insane.
Seems like the coolest people. How do you find the balance between consistency and also going with trends, specifically on YouTube? Because that's something that a lot of content creators, regardless of what you're doing, you have to fight. For me, it's what is mainstream YouTube doing? Should I latch on to that and follow these trends, or should I stick to what I know, just focus in the tech and creativity? You're going to be fine. But sometimes it's tempting to reach out there and try to just follow the trends. And with skating, there's a lot of stuff that is trendy and stuff. And so maybe that's within trends within skate world, or also trends within YouTube. Daily content. You've been doing daily vlogs for almost the majority of the time you're on YouTube. But sometimes it's like, maybe I should not do that.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, that's the hardest part. For me, that is the biggest fight that I have with YouTube is not only do I want to do trends that are really popular on the platform, but I have to realize, I mean, I'm not the person to give advice on this because I'm the worst one who suffers with this.
But it's something that both of us struggle with.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard.
It's very tough. And of course, when I see a video that's like, Logan Paul, the most popular YouTuber, does something and everybody starts talking about it, I'm like, if I talk about this, I will 100% get more views on this video than any of my other videos. But when you do that, you do lose something, right? You have an audience that sort of sees you as someone who's more of a trend follower rather than someone who does your own thing. Mm-hmm. And then it's also nice to have the vibe on YouTube of someone who isn't a YouTuber. I mean, You're
just showing what you love.
Right. So it's like if I go around and just go skate, film that, and I do get a big following from that, that's amazing. And people like to see someone separate. It's the same reason I like to watch Yoon Olsen. He seems like he's not even a part of YouTube, but he's
in his own world.
Exactly. But he does so well. And then, I feel like Peter McKinnon sits there similarly. So it's nice to have those people. And once you start going with the trends, you fall into just the majority. And it's sort of hard to differentiate your channel, and you're sort of fighting against the majority. It's a difficult challenge. I just wouldn't recommend anyone trying to do that fight.
How have you stayed John Hill through everything? Because I think a lot of people's first reactions to you, if they meet you or they're watching you or listening to you on this podcast, their first reaction is probably like, he's chill.
Oh,
he's super chill,
right.
And on YouTube videos or internet videos, wherever you're in front of an audience, you kind of do, regardless of who you are, hype yourself up, mm-hmm. get a little bit more crazy, get a little bit more hype. And especially also when you do collabs, I think both of us have experienced this. When you go outside your circle, you get hate sometimes.
Right,
and it's something you're not used to within your own audience. So how do you stay you?
It's difficult. I mean, with the camera, it's impossible, actually. I think I do believe this. I think it is impossible to be how you are normally in front of a camera, period. Because I think you are appealing to an audience. It's like being put on stage and being like, act exactly like you. And if you had...
That's true. I don't think people in theater are going to go and be them, because that's not appealing.
Right? Yeah, even if someone's like giving some monologue, they're not going to be 100% them. It's boring. It's not appealing. Mm-hmm. And the thing with being in front of the camera, I actually do try to be myself, but I believe it's impossible. And I think you add a little excitement, you add a little hype, and you're still being yourself, but you're also putting on a show. And I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast, and he had Derek Sivers on the show. And basically Derek Sivers did this whole conversation about this whole thing where he was doing circus shows. And he was going out there and he was being like, this crowd's here for me. So he was being sarcastic. He was being, like he basically acted in a way to avoid hate. Like he was like, yeah, here we are doing a show, whatever, I'm being silly, and you can act that way. But then when he went backstage, they're like, yo, give them a show. They're here to be entertained. They're here to see someone who acts like they don't act. You want to have relatability, but you also don't want to watch someone who is exactly like you act. You want to see someone who does something different and brings excitement. So he went back out there and he was like, what's up, it's Derek Sivers, I'm out here, da, 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 da. And like people loved it. They went crazy and they're like, yo, this guy's
what's up, it's John Hill Vlogs.
Exactly. So like when I have a 10-minute vlog, 24 hours in the day, you film for 10 minutes, it's really easy to be excited. And I genuinely am very excited when I turn on the camera. I'm like, yo, can't wait to do this show. This is going to be really fun. Mm-hmm. Turn on the camera. And I am very excited. I'm very excitable. And at the same time, I have mellow moments on my vlog, but when I first film in the day, I am genuinely excited to film and make a show.
And I will say, you are genuinely a morning person. Yes. I can vouch for that.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm trying to get there with you.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, it helps being on the West Coast. So we're here in LA for about a month. And here I can actually wake up at 7 a.m. because technically it's like 10 on the East Coast. So I'm like, I have no problem doing this, but you're hype in the morning. You do good at going to bed a reasonable time.
Right. I mean, I live a life in a day. I wake up in the morning and I'm happy. You wake up, you're born, you're happy. And then you become old and you're like, I don't know. And that's me every night.
And that's why we're recording this podcast at 10 p.m.
When I'm like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, usually by the time I go to bed, I'm like, oh man, like, who knows anymore? You wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, life is amazing. That's like every day.
Every single night, John and I have an existential crisis
Every
of
night.
what are we doing with our life?
Yeah.
What is the algorithm
How much longer can we keep
doing?
this up?
Yeah.
Like,
And then there's the complete opposite side of, oh my gosh, I'm so stoked. I'm going to do this. This is the future.
Yep.
And then the next day is, I don't know about that.
I don't know, right? It's actually, it's insane. We probably live 40 days every day. So.
And it's good to have someone to relate to.
Absolutely.
The fact that we understand, are your views down?
I bet that's something people would love to hear about, is the fact that we're both YouTubers who do this, and like how much we relate. It's a world that I really couldn't imagine sharing with someone who, like, if they didn't share the world, I just don't know what they would think about it.
Right.
Like, talking to someone who's like, I would be like, yeah, like, I'm really bummed that this didn't work. My video got 4,000 less views than it should at this moment. And they'd be like,
suck
so?
it up.
Yeah,
What, doesn't matter?
Yeah. But like, when I tell you that.
And it would also be, it's 6:30 p.m. No more talk about anything other than work.
Right.
It's time to watch Netflix for like 6 hours straight.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a crazy, crazy world. And yeah, it's amazing to have a partner in crime. But I think with anything you do, you should have someone who can at least relate. Who's like I mean, it's really nice to have the conversations, because it's a hard world, and I mean, you put everything into it, so you have to just kind of expect a lot of emotions to come out of it. And I mean, I don't know, I think we're actually figuring out how to navigate that better. When you start it, coming from someone who doesn't get any love or attention, not like in that way, but getting any attention from an audience, to boom, out of nowhere, you're like, okay, now I have all these people watching me, and I have to adjust to having everything judged. Even if it's a positive judge, you're still putting yourself in a position to be judged, which is very confusing and weird to adapt to. So to have someone who knows what that's like is lovely.
What do you think is the worst part about it?
The worst part about YouTube, or being
two YouTubers dating and being all up in their business all the time?
Maybe it's the fact that we relate so well on it. Maybe it's the fact that it's like we can't tell the other one that it's silly, because we both know how painful it is.
Right.
I want to be like, Sarah, that's silly. Chill out. Like, who cares that you got 2,000 less views? But I know the pain of it, and I'm like, babe, it's okay. We'll get through this together. We'll figure out how to get those views for you.
Yeah, and at some point, because there are some things that are out of reach, or some things that are really just, like anything you have to figure out on your own. And so a lot of times it's just like, because that struggle, it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know what to say.
I've definitely been the one who's been like the gnarliest, like, dude, this was just not a good week. I don't know what to do anymore. I literally have no idea. But that's been me since I was like a little kid. So even while I'm doing that, I already know it's going to end. But I'm like, Sarah, you're just going to have to deal with this right now. I am struggling. But tomorrow I won't be. But right now, tell me something nice.
But usually how it works is when you're doing bad, I'm doing okay. And then when you're doing okay, I feel like that's when I go into like,
Yeah, which is weird, because I mean, for me, there's definitely like a subtle competitiveness even with Sarah. I don't know if she feels that at all, but yeah, with me, like, that will be the thing where it's like, I'm doing really bad and Sarah's doing really good. Like, how is she doing good? How do I improve? And it's like, I'm glad that she's doing well, obviously, and I'm not going to be like, you need to do worse for my ego.
Self-esteem.
Yeah, for my self-esteem. So yeah, I mean, I think there's like a slight competitiveness in it too, which is hilarious, because, there's like things that you and I can both do that would benefit our careers. And if one of them gets to do it, you immediately want to be like, I want that. Right? Like, so if, I don't know, if you got to hang out with PewDiePie or collab with PewDiePie, it's like, that would never happen. But I would be sitting here like, how do I collab with PewDiePie?
Right.
So.
Right. It's an interesting world. I'm glad I get to do it with you.
Same Heather, therefore.
Should we bring it back? Should we go all relationship?
Yeah.
Nitty gritty.
Let's do it.
Exclusive.
I feel like that's what people mostly want to hear.
I know. They're probably
Definitely.
like, listen, we know John skateboards.
Yeah, we know
Get to the good-ish.
Right. Yeah.
I have relationship questions.
Okay, good. If you want to keep it specific, that'd be perfect.
I know.
Okay.
I want to talk as free as possible.
Okay.
But I just want to let you know that I prepared for this. And I have questions under skating.
Okay.
And then questions under relationship.
You have a lot of questions. Why do you have so many questions?
I was literally, okay.
You're the most prepared.
So John went to go skating or something. And I was like, okay, I should probably think of some questions. And I dove into the archives of our videos. And it actually made me sad because I was like, oh, wait, I want to hang out with John. Because that's one of the coolest parts about YouTube and documenting things is, so with YouTube, you want to have your own things, but at the same time, because you've seen all of the crazy like breakup vloggers who like vlog their every relationship thing. But the cool part about that is you have memories that you share with people and that you get to go watch again. Right. So I was like sitting there watching the videos like, oh my God, good times. The first day ever that we ever hung out is actually documented. Yep. From both of our eyeballs and our editing fingers. The eyeballs. So eyeball it was it was like a year and 3 months ago in December 2016.
Man, we really started dating 3 months after we met.
Yeah.
We're such losers.
Yeah. No, well, do you remember? Okay, let's bring it back. So the stages, these were the stages. I was in LA for 2 more days.
Oh my gosh. If you guys want to hear about the intro, I don't think we've ever talked about.
We've never talked about the middle.
Oh man. Yeah, the meeting to when we were together.
I don't know how much we want to talk about that. But the beginning, the first 2 days, the first day was amazing. Mm-hmm. We hung out in Venice and Santa Monica.
It was like a dream.
Oh, the sun was setting.
It was crazy.
We were both vlogging and skating.
Right.
It was fun.
It was perfect. We went to Santa Monica Pier. We stared out romantically. I made like an edit of it and of course added like this romantic music because I was just like the moment was perfect. It was so good. Hung out in the car. Totally let down your guard. You were just like, I don't know. You relaxed because you're such like a stern boss woman. You're like a what's it called? Sophia Maruso.
Oh, a girl boss.
You're a girl boss. So like in the car, the whole time she was like, just like on it, crushing it. And then I was like, I can't keep up. I'm intimidated by this human being. She's gonna punch me in the face for no reason. Got in the car and then she just said I asked you something and you were kind of like, I'm sorry, what? And you like kind of laughed and like you were just like so tired and like open about being tired. And I was like, yo, this girl let her guard down. I'm about to sneak up in there and say, what's up, girl? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it was like, I could tell.
Because we were pretty on all day because first we hung out with each other and that was fun. But then we went to like this meetup. And so we were around people and filming and it was like boom, 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 boom.
It was exhausting.
Yeah. And so it was, from that to just like hanging out was fun. And then there was the second day that we hung out. So this, I feel like we should say the name too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, totally. So the second day we hung out was the last day I was in LA before leaving for New York City. Because I was living in New York at the time. John was living in LA. So we did long distance relationship for like the first 5-6 months of our relationship. And so I was like, okay, last day in LA, let me try to like cram some hangs in with another person. So if you guys know Matt King, super funny dude. Right. He like made it huge on Vine. He's part of the David Dobrik group on YouTube. Super genuine, sweet guy. Super funny.
Hate him. No, I'm just kidding.
We hate him. He's the worst. Right. Fun fact. He actually is from where I grew up in Texas. So we had mutual friends in Texas, which is crazy. One of my best friends in high school was best friends with his brother. So I was like, let's have hangs. John, Matt, we can grab lunch. And then I'll just hang out with John the rest of the day. And we can say what's up to Matt. You could meet him. Easy enough.
Boom shakalaka.
So it turns out Matt King just liked us too much.
He did.
He thought we were catches as friends.
Right.
And he was getting into YouTube. And he just wanted to hang all day.
He's good at what he does.
He's
clearly good at creativity, but he's also good at being around people for long enough to just make them like, well, Matt King's just going to be around us. And I mean, to an extent, I almost felt like the third wheel to an extent because he's such a powerful personality.
Yeah. And yes, 100%. And so, but he had no idea that we had vibes.
None.
Like no idea whatsoever. And you have to admit, John, especially in those circumstances when you don't know, like him well and you didn't know me well, that's typically, or at least maybe a year ago, when you kind of do like recline a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
you kind of like.
I do, absolutely. Yeah. I get very.
I don't know what the right word for it.
Right.
But
So I'm terrified of not being accepted. So yeah, in those moments, I'm like, okay, they're vibing. Their personalities are very strong and powerful. I'm like this like recluse skater boy from South Carolina, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not even gonna try. Like, they're doing their thing.
And so in that moment, it's like, I so deeply want to just like hang with John and want him to be a part of this. But that's when you were like going back, and so I was like, oh man. If I want him,
feel it?
Yeah, I could totally feel it. And then, but we just ended up hanging all together all day. But at the end, it was like, I want like one-on-one time with John. And I think you were definitely feeling the same way too.
Oh no, totally. I wanted the whole day, the excitement. Even the night before, I talked to a friend on the phone, and I was like, yo, hanging out with Sarah was awesome, dude. Seriously, she's super cool. Yeah, the next day I was like, we're gonna have our hang times. And then after hearing Matt King like not really pick up on the messages a couple times, which whatever. I mean,
but now we laugh about it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
We've had conversations with Matt, and he'd be like, when he found out we were dating, he was like, "Oh my gosh, guys, I had no idea."
He was like, "I was that guy the whole time." No, it was so funny. I mean, now it's so funny, but yeah, at the time it was just like, "We're gonna go do this. Cool, can't wait." Like Matt's like, "All right," and then like the weirdest one, of course, was the ending when we were like, "I guess we're gonna go to the coffee shop and edit." He's like, "I'll watch." We're like, you're gonna watch this edit?
He was on that YouTube grind. He was ready to start his YouTube channel, man.
Like that's how
he was like.
That's how you become successful. You're the guy who is like, I'll go to a coffee shop and watch you because I want to learn. Yeah. I'm like, well, I applaud you, but I am not gonna be here for that.
And so we parted ways at the end of the day.
It was sad.
I was literally about to hop on a plane. I was destroyed. Like, I really was, because we didn't have another time that we were going to be hanging out. We were literally going as far away as possible in the U.S. from each other. And I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah, it was sad.
I, like, want to hang out more with this dude.
Yeah, and I'm the worst dude ever when it comes to, like, how you were saying, like, yeah, I could feel you backing away. I went so far that way that night that I literally called friends like, yeah, she's not into it. All right, dude, I'm going to go hide in a cave for a couple months, and I'll talk to you later.
And there was nothing from me that indicated I wasn't into it. It was just like the situation.
Right. So it was, yeah, But what happened next?
But no, I want to talk about the phone call.
Oh, wait, the Paris thing? Oh, Jiminy Cricket.
Because
this is like probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. So here you go.
Not embarrassing. I thought it was so sweet, especially now.
It's actually pretty creepy.
I mean, okay, so we were texting and stuff, but you were like, okay, I'm gonna call you or something. Like, I knew that there was a call coming up. And so I was so excited, and I just wanted you, because we still didn't know like what this was. Like, it was just friends or like into each other.
Well, okay, keep in mind we hung out 2 days. Literally, the first day was all of this. The second day was just like a weird thing. Yeah, this is all based on 1 day of hanging out.
It's true. And so I was like, okay, all I need to hear are the words "date" or something that indicates
date.
Yeah, or the word.
Got him.
I hate you. The word "date" or something that indicates like, oh, next time you're in LA, I'm going to take you on a date. Or like, just something. Or like, I'm going to come to New York. We're going to go on a date. Or but something like that. What was going through your head on this phone call? Because this was legit one of the first things you said to me.
Okay, so I applaud myself for being...
Yeah, oh, me too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I like doing things that just seem ridiculous. And because it's like, even if it fails, it's like it's funny. So I did something very ridiculous. I was like, instead of being like, hey, we should hang out, I was like, hey, like, considering going to Paris. Does that sound cool to you? Like, hey, stranger.
How you led up to that was, so, we both vlog. We do video stuff. We should go vlog in Paris.
Together.
Together.
Yeah, so after 1 day of hanging out, I was like, we need to go to Paris together. That would be ideal.
The most like romantic city in the world. It's like, let's go here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the moral is your boy don't play. So yeah, I mean,
we still haven't gone to Paris.
We still haven't gone to Paris, but I want to give one little antidote that was that kind of was like around the same conversation. Can I talk about like how you basically told me you liked me in a weird way?
Yeah.
Like how you implied it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the implication was awesome because I was like, hey, I'm going to New York.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when we hung out.
Let's finalize the Paris thing first.
Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So basically, I was like, maybe not Paris, but you should definitely come to New York.
Yeah, I was pretty embarrassed actually at this point. I was like, actually, when I did it too, when I asked you, I realized, this is one thing I don't think I ever told you. I actually realized how crazy it was that I asked you, and I laughed afterwards and texted Dave Toole about it. And I said, yeah, and I said, hey Dave, I just asked Sarah to go to Paris with me. Haha. And he was like, lol, you're insane. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'll kill you. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I mean, I realized the insanity of asking, and it was part of the joy.
It's funny to look back on, especially that one day we go to Paris. It's gonna be glorious.
Oh my gosh, the vlog content, I'm telling you what.
I know. So conversation went good after that, and then we started texting and like, oh, okay, he's coming to New York.
Right. Okay, so coming to New York, I was like, yeah, I'll be going there. And then Sarah was like, you know what, I'm gonna be the smooth criminal coming in swinging.
Because you indirectly flirted with me in the YouTube comments.
I did.
But you never, in any text messages or phone calls, were obvious that you liked me.
Well, I guess here's the thing.
So I had to make a move.
Well, have you ever heard of Game? Because I've got tons of it, because look at us now. We're in California together, hanging out. And it's sweet. But yeah, I mean, that whole thing, you were like, New York, we should do New York. And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And I immediately was down. Like, I was like, I'll buy a plane ticket today. I don't care. I'm going to New York to hang out with Sara Dietschy. And what happened was, oh yeah, you said...
You asked me if you could stay.
I didn't. No,
Okay.
because that would be obtrusive.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, well, I was like, let me look at Airbnbs. Yes. I said that right away. And I, from there, was like, that'd be cool if she was like, why don't you stay at my place, bro? Because that's how she sounds.
Just like that.
But she said, yeah, maybe you should. And I was like, oh. And then she was like, I would let you sleep on my couch. And I'm like, go on. She was like, but I don't see you as like just a friend. The same way I would let a guy friend stay on my couch, but I don't really see you the same way as just a friend. And I was like, girl, dab, 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 slap. And I was like, I got, this is the cheesiest thing ever. Okay. So like people have relationships, they get really cynical, they hate everyone. That's how I felt at this moment in my life. I was like, I hate everyone. Seriously, like a lot. And she said that. I got so giddy, I literally stood up out of Starbucks, went outside to get fresh air, called Dave Toole, which is this skate shop owner that I rode for. He's like a second dad to me. Yeah. I was like, Dave, this is weird coming from me, because I know how you know that I hate everyone, but I'm like in a weird mood where I'm giddy about a girl saying something that was cute, or something like that. And he was just like, what? That's awesome. That's amazing. And he even was like, dude, I just watched an older video of her where she says she doesn't have a boyfriend because she has a bunch of guy friends. You might be in that position, John, so don't get overly excited. I was like, dude, thanks, man.
But that text was to let you know that you weren't in that position.
Right. No, because I felt
I'm pretty sure maybe just a couple months before, Eric Conover was literally living on my couch for a few days.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's why I was like, I didn't want to lump you in the same like category as someone who, yes, you can sleep on my couch because you're my friend, Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that's how it all began.
No, you killed it. That was the perfect way to do it. And I was like, girl, you got that game, son. So no, it worked out awesomely. And then I got an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Kept it very civil.
Yes. And I appreciate you making that trip to New York.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wouldn't have happened if you weren't just like, I don't think I've ever told you that.
Yeah, I
appreciate you coming to New York.
Of course. It was amazing. And it also like increased my love for New York City. I wanted to go to New York City too. Yeah. It's a beautiful city. I live there now.
Yeah. You live there now.
I'm currently employed by New York City. That doesn't make any sense.
You're a subway conductor?
Yes.
You're employed by the city of New York?
No, I conduct the city. Your boy runs the game there. Anyways.
And now we're breaking up. So
this is a sad ending.
This is a really sad ending. This is why I brought all this up.
Because we want to talk about how hard the ending has been for us. Psych! Here's the thing that actually sucks. I just want to talk about this. People bring up the conversation, our relationships all the time, the conversation. And every time they do, it's always the same thing where you're like, how's it going? And people, I don't know if it's just my friends, they always reply the same way where they're like, it's cool. There's always the differences, but it's cool. And
surviving.
Yeah, surviving. And this is like, and I'm not just saying this. I don't like to talk about our relationship because it is going well. Like, kind of in every aspect. So it's actually like, I feel bad being like, when people are like, how's your thing going? I just pretend that there's something wrong. Like, I'm like, that's cool. It's fine. Whatever. It's a relationship. But in reality, I'm like, there's literally nothing wrong.
You should be stoked. So
I don't want to make people feel bad. Like, it literally
make them feel bad.
I should. You're right.
So they can aspire, because let me give you a little secret. Maybe that is a thing, yes, but I feel like a lot of that is with your skater boys.
I know.
Because maybe if they knew that there's something out there worth like being stoked for, maybe they would stop settling.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Skater dudes, they're like,
because skaters are edgy and like
it's all
the
front.
Cool dude. Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of times that lens. What am I trying to say? That makes them not as confident with themselves in terms of like other people. When in reality, it's like, you got some stuff going for you. You can have a nice, sweet girl. Right.
Yeah. You can have a good thing. And Yeah. I mean, because a lot of times they intentionally attract things that will probably fall apart.
Yeah.
A lot of skateboarders do that. And it is unfortunate because, like, people don't really know this, but people who are like really good at skateboarding who came, usually it seems as if they come from this hard place, this place that has made them like, feel a lot of pain all the time. And the way to feel better about themselves is
that chip on their shoulder. Man.
The chip on the shoulder is huge. And mine is ridiculous. And you know that. And I wish it was a little smaller. It's decreasing in size for sure. Because life has been very fortunate in a lot of ways. So I'm trying to be like, I appreciate you, life. Thanks, life. I'm not going to be so mad at you, life. But yeah, the skater dudes, they attract these people that sort of make them feel temporarily better. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But they don't realize what they want. And then they'll have that, it'll go away, and they'll be like, I don't know, man, I kind of liked her. I'm like, I don't think you did. And I think maybe you should try to get something that you want to have.
Right.
And like, I don't know. I've always been a little more PG, maybe. I've always tried to be a softer person than life has lent me. I want to be as soft as possible. I want that because, the edginess comes with the trade. And it's like, no, I want to be soft. I want to like enjoy the simple things. And like a relationship I never thought would be the settling thing. And I know you were the same way where you're like, relationship's not the end goal. Work is the end goal.
Right.
Money. I don't know. I mean, that sounds crazy.
Honestly, no, I mean, not a lot of people know this, but when I graduated high school, I tried hard in school. So I was a math science geek. I had good grades. I was ready to go to college, go through the motions, and literally just be a mom. I was like, wow. I have a sick mom, Jeannie. So if I could be a Jeannie to like kids, I'm fine. Like, I'm going to die a mom, whatever. I'm good with that. I'll just marry someone straight out of college and like, why? I can never cook. So I'd be screwed in that aspect. But I could take care of kids. But then I went to college and I was like, oh, wait. Like all these hopes and dreams are being put into my person. And it's like, I want to work and do stuff. And, that no longer became the end goal. It's still an aspect, but it's no longer, the entire thing. And so for a while, it was just work. And I think that's what helps me get to where I am today. But at the same time, I think it's way fun to live life with another person and like to share those experiences.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. And I think with one reason it stays so exciting, and it really is, I know I just went into this, but it has been just an insanely good ride. Like this whole relationship has been super fun the whole way. We don't ever really fight. I feel like we almost argue for the sake of being like, maybe we should argue to be healthy humans.
I will say that in the first like I feel like this is almost like a therapy session now, but the first 4 months or so, we didn't have one argument. And I actually, like, I remember talking to Judy and being worried about it because I was like, things are gonna blow up. And of course now I think things from both of our sides have like come up. We've had arguments, we've had like ups and downs, but it's more of just like two humans living life together.
Exactly.
Like, there's gonna be things, you know.
Yeah, but they're not they're still not even compared to like anything that maybe I've had in the past or things that I've seen from family members and stuff. It's like, it's still the arguments are so simple and silly. Right. One thing I think is really exciting about our relationship is that you and I we share a lot of similarities when it comes to our passions and like having careers and like working really hard to build something big. But we actually came from pretty different paths, and I think we've sort of dealt with a lot of different things. And you just mentioned in school, you're like a super hard worker. You had really good grades, and you did really well in school. You're like top of the freaking...
Top 10%.
There you go.
I got a 30 on my ACT. Okay, that is a fun fact for any Sara Dietschy trivia. I studied so fudging hard for my ACT, I turned my 24 into a 30. There you go.
Okay, didn't want to interrupt because you're just proving my point more. Because with me, I worked really hard to push my grade the opposite direction, where I was like, you know what? I've never failed a class before. Prob and Stats Math, boom, what's up? Because I actually graduated. I did really well in school until high school.
You graduated early, which is cool.
I graduated a year early because I actually had all my credits and I did well. But I still wasn't... I didn't try hard at all in school. And the truth is, I actually did well in school because I thought I was really smart because I was Asian and I heard that Asians are smart.
So you got to live up to the stereotype.
I actually did. As weird as that worked, the stereotype, which is always a bad thing, was a positive stereotype that worked for me. So
just good at school.
I was just naturally good at school because I think I just thought I was. And it worked out that way.
Manifest your dreams, guys.
Actually. So I did well in school. But the thing is, I wasn't passionate about school. I didn't even see it as nearly an end goal whatsoever. I was just really into skateboarding. And I put all of my effort. I mean, I think we have similar work habits and work ethic. I just put it all into something that there was no vision of a future in. I was just like, I like this a lot. I'm going to do it whatever furiously, even though there's no realistic reason why I should. And for me, it did work out, but it's just funny because you and I sort of went these different paths. We've had different upbringings in life, and it led us to be similar people, which I think is interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to how you were raised, what was growing up in South Carolina like?
Yes.
Yes. I said like with a Southern accent.
You said like?
Yeah, we both grew up in the South, man.
Yeah.
You were the dirty South Carolina. I was the South. I grew up in Texas, y'all.
Right. So, yeah, I was born in the armpit of America, aka. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I was born in South Carolina, which is really strange. I don't actually very, very seldom meet people in California from South Carolina. Only one time has it happened.
Wow.
It's just this weird place where you kind of just stay, and it was weird. I'll say this. It was weird. I've complained about it, so I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was weird growing up as an Asian kid in South Carolina. I think I've said that before. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because in my school, the entirety of elementary, middle, and high school, there was only 2 other Asian kids.
Wow.
And they were both Chinese. So nobody looked like me, didn't really understand how I would fit in, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, I wasn't like this awkward kid who sat in the corner. You know, I tried really hard. My parents were like... My mom moved to this country. She had difficulty right away. From Korea. She had difficulty right away.
South Korea,
right. Yeah, you escaped from North Korea. Congrats. Yeah, you're good. Don't ever complain.
Exactly.
But no, she moved here from South Korea. She immediately had problems. You know, she was a server at a restaurant for 25 years or something like that. So she dealt with sort of all the aspects of life. She dealt with my dad's family immediately being like, no. Like, don't do that. Don't date a foreign person. Just doesn't make any sense. So my dad immediately got a lot of hell for it. So she didn't even feel accepted by her own family. You know what I mean? So when I was born, she told me right away, John, you need to be white. That's the thing. Like, when you're raised in this country, you need to be white and do whatever that takes. So for me, you know, it wasn't like a weird, like, I don't want to try to be something I'm not. I was just like, okay, well, if that's the way it is, I was born into being like, I will try to be as white as possible. And it actually like, you know, that's racist in itself. That's super generalizing to be a certain way. And, you know, she would be like, listen to country music because that's what the white people do. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it was this weird thing. But, you know, it's a strange thing to grow up and kind of look around and just nothing looks like you. You know, none of the superheroes, none of the toys, nothing looks like you. And you're kind of just like, you know, it just puts you in a different mentality. It makes you a little bitter. But at the end of the day, I understood that hard work, that's what my dad taught me. He's just like, working really hard will be what makes you succeed. So just focus on that.
Because it is difficult, like what you said, but it's also difficult in terms of having confidence when you are being told be something that you're not, and that is actually impossible. And it's strange when you're being told something of like, almost like you said, a stereotype, to where that's almost just completely unattainable.
Right. It's like, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about this subject, but one main thing is that when you look different, the thing you don't bank on is looks, right? And looks, when you're a kid, you believe kind of run the whole show. So when you immediately take yourself out of the equation, you have to find alternate things that make up for the lack of looks. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't believe that I could be handsome because handsome people are white with blue eyes. So there's a sad part about it where you're like, okay, well, I'm not pretty and I'll never be in that race.
That's why you're so funny.
Exactly.
You're so ugly.
No, I'm just kidding. Exactly.
You are smoking hot, John.
Thanks.
Seriously,
Thank you.
You're very attractive.
Well, nowadays, freaking happas are becoming more of a thing where people like the half Asians. But when I was a kid in South Carolina, it was just this weird thing. So what it does is it enables you to focus more on other things. For me, I focused more on trying to be smart and then trying to be funny. So for those things, I worked really hard on those things. And I was like, I want to be smarter than everyone. And then also talent. For me, you know, the stereotypes of being Asian. Luckily, I'm very fortunate because in South Carolina at the time, black people had the worst stereotypes. So these kids who would grow, I can't imagine if I grew up black in South Carolina, people would have taught me that I had these negative stereotypes. And that would have been much harder. You know, I was fortunate that it was like, of course, there's a few negative ones of Asian ones that, you know, maybe you're not
that's like PG-13.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's like, oh, you only know the math problem because you're Asian.
Right.
I'm like, oh, cool, I'm smart.
Sick.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you only got good at this really fast because Asians are so naturally talented. And, you know, none of this stuff is true. It's all based on whatever. So for me as a kid, I was like, cool, I'll only focus on talent and intelligence because I can impress people with these. And they're like, whoa, holy crap, look how good this kid is at skating randomly.
Right.
And it leads you to be, you know, to focus on things that actually matter at the end. Because as you get older,
100%.
Looks,
right,
they fade, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I was never in the pretty girl group. And I very much so was more fixated on my hobbies, whether it was basketball or music or video making. So being recognized for stuff other than looks is actually, I think, a blessing in disguise a lot. People say it builds character, but it actually kind of does.
No,
because
for sure.
You have to discover who you are as a person the way you see yourself. It's not other people saying, oh, you're so pretty, or like you having a new boyfriend or girlfriend every week. And it really allows you to be like, okay, who am I? And like, let's, you know, be funny to impress people because that's all you can do. I was definitely, I had a class clown moment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely me too. Like I was, and the thing is, like I survived very well. I wasn't some kid who people were like, hey, chink, go, blah, 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 blah. It was never like that. You know, a few times people would be like, go back to your own country, and then I could make a joke or something, or I'd just be like, I'm from here, idiot. And they're like, oh, my bad, sorry.
I'm literally half white.
I'm literally half white. Like I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not fresh off a boat or anything. So it's like, I don't know. So there's the weirdness there. And of course, there's always going to be like the jokes and stereotypes. And that sucks to deal with as a kid too. And you know, one thing that I do is like, I want to try to have a voice for kids who are in similar situations. I definitely want that. You know, I want an Asian kid to be able to watch my channel and be like, oh my gosh, he's Asian. That's so sick. Because I've had people come up to me and be like, yo, Asian brothers stick together, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I feel you. I totally do. But, you know, for me, I try to think of myself as like an equal opponent in the fight for business or any of that, because it's like, the truth is, you know, sometimes I have to compensate for that confidence that was lost as a kid. And there's many reasons why we all, you know, can lose some confidence, but you know, it is a hard thing to fight for. As I've gotten older, it's been like, yes.
Especially when you grow up. I mean, I grew up with parents that were literally, they didn't hand me stuff, but they were always encouraging with everything I did. So it was like, oh, you know, you want a guitar, well, you're gonna have to pay for it, but when you have your recital, we're gonna be there and like cheer you on. And so I think it's so many things that form your confidence as a kid that transfers over to adulthood. And I think a lot of it has to do with parenting or friends or just where you grow up. I grew up in the biggest bubble in the world outside of Dallas, Fort Worth. You know, confidence has a lot to do with all of those different factors.
Right.
And then later on in life, you have to just deal with you all of a sudden.
Exactly.
It's like,
and you always can. Like, regardless of the confidence that you grew up with, one thing that I've learned beyond in the last couple of years is that regardless of how low my self-esteem is and how hard I have to combat my lack of confidence, it's like I can. Like, at the end of the day, it's like I can fight the lack of confidence and build it. And, you know, maybe this person is fortunate enough not to have to. He's had parents who are cheerleaders their whole lives, which is amazing. But, you know, like, a lot of people don't have that. And I'll say with me, it's like, you know, I think there's been a time in my life where my parents are encouraging, but I do kind of have a stereotypical Korean mother who, you know, like, with them, it's like they like to push you to make you stronger. That's their idea. The idea isn't to build your confidence by spoon feeding you. It's by being like, doing the opposite. Being like, you're not good enough. We are disappointed in you. You should try harder. And you know, at the end of the day, they hope that it makes you be like, I don't think that's right.
makes you
at the end of the day,
strong.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when you're 8 years old, that's not necessarily maybe the best thing to hear.
Right. So yeah, for me, my dad's in the military as well. So it was all about strength. It was, there was zero about anything else. It was like, John, you need to be strong and we're going to do whatever that takes. So it was the very much like the throw the kid in the deep end of the pool technique. And there was, I mean, there's actually a lot of similar techniques to that for me to be a strong kid. And I think it was just like, you know, unfortunately for the parents, what they didn't see is like, it was kind of a delusion on their part to expect their kids to be so tough, because they made a lot of decisions for me growing up that were like, John and Matthew, my brother, are strong enough to deal with this. And when they would make their decisions, we were like, holy crap, we can't take this.
Right. And
what that does is like, it's sort of, you know, a lot of things that happened sort of affected our confidence. And we like, you know, we've had a fight ever since for the confidence. And that's, I don't know, you know, like, there's fighting for that though teaches you a lot more skills. If I didn't have to fight for that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would be very content with a lot less. But luckily, since I'm always trying to compensate for that lack of self-esteem, I'm working harder and harder and harder to build a better life for myself. And I don't know, I like this day, you know, I've had to find superficial things to make up for that lack of confidence, but it's sort of working. You know, it's weird. Like, it's like, since I've made an okay amount of money doing something, it has helped with that, because I believe that that's what was important. But once I've done that, it makes me look more inside myself and be like, yeah, that's like, I should be confident. There's reasons I should be confident as a human being. I've like built enough, done enough, thought enough to be a confident person.
Amazing.
Anyways,
yeah. I feel that. So let's leave on a positive, encouraging note.
Let's do it!
Because you're a very talented, handsome human who has accomplished a lot.
You are as well. You're so handsome, dude.
Thank you.
Your muscles are booming out of your shirt.
Do you see those muscles?
I see them.
For the people just listening to this podcast, do you hear these muscles?
Yeah, okay. Have you ever seen Popeye? I can't even say it right. Have you ever seen Popeye? Well, her muscles are kind of like when he eats the spinach. I'll tell you that right now.
So with that, for all of them people out there who are creators or maybe college students not knowing what the fudge they want to do with their life, but they're somewhat creative. If you had a megaphone and you could tell all those people one thing, what would it be?
Probably be something along the lines of, you're stronger than you think. You're worth more than you think. I would say to be successful, you have to be courageous. So the more uncomfortable you feel, the better off you will be. So make sure if you're really, really nervous to try something, that's probably the thing you should do. And with me, there's always like a quote by, I don't know, he wrote the book Graveyard, but it's basically something along the lines of like, the moment that you feel like you're walking down the street completely naked is the moment that you might start to be getting it right. So you have to feel like you're really,
you're
really
out there.
exposed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, when it comes to a core skater getting on a YouTube platform that might jeopardize his whole entire career, that was my moment of being like, I'm naked. Somebody give me a shirt.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to feel that moment. And I think also if you find something that you love and that you're passionate about, regardless of how silly it seems, maybe that's the thing that you should expand on. So focus more on getting better at the craft, because specialty seems to be what leads to a more successful career nowadays instead of being generalized.
Right.
I think having a lot of talents is a good thing, but I think when people see you as someone who's very, very, very good at something very unique, then more people are going to want to be around you and learn about that thing, which is going to lead to more success, because networking sort of rules all. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. And you found your shirt, and it's called Progress Daily.
It is, exactly. And link in bio, I guess.
Link in bio, yeah, because that's one thing that we didn't talk about a lot. But on top of everything else, you have a clothing company, Progress Daily.
I do.
It follows the motto that you live by,
yes.
Progressing on the daily.
Right, yeah. It's funny because I don't know, it's used so much now, and I use it in my clothing so much that it almost just like sounds like this thing that disappears into the air. Like Progress Daily, I just say it so much, but when I was younger, or like when I was just getting into YouTube and just getting into the clothing brand and coming from like something else in life that sucked, Progress Daily was an actual mantra that I used consistently. I would actually write it down on my to-do list. I'd be like, Progress Daily. And I said it all the time because for me, I would get very discouraged with how much stuff that had to get done, which I know a lot of people deal with. A lot of kids in school who are thinking about like their career, like, oh my gosh, that's like centuries away. There's no way. But the idea of Progress Daily is, even if it's very little progression, or even if it's just changing your mentality one day of being like, I'm going to start going down this path tomorrow. I know a lot of people say don't like tomorrow, but if you're someone who's strong enough to write down like, okay, I need to encourage myself to get better at something, do 10 push-ups, go for a walk, like write these things down and go do those things, because even taking a small lap around the block is a form of progression. So getting one step closer to your goal, figuring out what needs to be done, things that you can do in 10 seconds that'll lead you closer, because anything that you want to do, you can break down in small steps that you can tackle every single day to get there.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. So if you guys want to progress on the daily and cop some of that, it's progressdailyclothing.com.
Appreciate you. Okay, I'll take the shout out.
At John Hill on Instagram. At John HillTube
on Twitter. At John Hill on YouTube.
And John Hill on YouTube. Look him up, guys.
I know we just met as well, but would you want to go to Paris with me?
Yeah.
This has been a great
Paris.
3 hours.
I know. Let's go to Paris.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys. I'm going to Paris. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Creative Exchange. I'm putting these out every single week. It's been every Wednesday. I haven't really said a specific time or date because that's usually when I mess up with those types of things. But this is probably the most consistent I've been with anything in like so long. So every week, every Wednesday until I mess that up, because I'm sure I will eventually. But keep on creating out there, guys. I appreciate you tuning in to Apple Podcasts, to Google, on YouTube. So if you're listening to this and you want to see us, you want to see what we look like and our expressions, you can head over to youtube.com/thecreativeexchange. So all of these links are going to be in the show notes or description below. Thank you so much for tuning in. You should subscribe.
Goodbye.
Bye.